pleasure to welcome you all again to the staff dinner for the UCL summer course in English Phonetics. History. This is actually our 50th summer course. I say that with confidence because, of course, the problem is actually knowing exactly what to count and where from and what counts as a summer course and what doesn't. But I'm counting from the year that Gimson reinstituted the summer course in English Phonetics after the Second World War, which was 1953.
But we should have something spectacular then.
Yeah.
Maybe I ought to have the
Manchester opening ceremony.
Yes, I think there should be fireworks. I'll just go and change.
Somebody's made next year the 50th.
We can certainly make it next year.
It's the same as the argument we had in the year 2000 when we claimed it was the millennium and the Japanese claimed it wasn't until 2001.
Oh, a lot of people claim that actually then.
Because you see, Professor Gimson, my predecessor, was the director of 30, or was it 31 courses from 1953 to 1983, so it's 31 actually. And so I took over in 1984. So next year will be my 20th. So we can celebrate that.
Okay, absolutely, yes. Sparklers at the table.
Yes. The other thing we could celebrate this year is that I've been on the staff of University College London for 50 years. Having been appointed in 1962. And,
Oh my God, I wasn't even born then.
Well, being 12, me neither.
What else? Chimney Sweep.
as assistant lecturer, a category that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, I did my first degree in classics at Cambridge, and in the last year at Cambridge we had to choose between, in classics, between philosophy, archaeology, literature,
Phonetics.
and language, yeah. You see, so I did comparative philology, quick crash course in Sanskrit, learn up 50 words of Lithuanian and 50 words of Welsh, for comparative philology.
Never lost it.
Great fun, yes.
And the rest, as they
Lovely.
say, is history.
Greek dialects, Oscan and Umbrian, Italic dialects. Oh, yes, we had a chap came from UCL seminary. He came to teach us about Greek dialect, Latin dialects. Once a week on Saturday morning. Shows how
How
that's
did you say a moa massa mat?
Who did that on Saturday morning?
Seminary, Oscar Seminary. Anyhow, so I got my degree in that, and then I wanted to do phonetics because Trim's courses that were offered optionally, not examined.
In the cricket pavilion in Cambridge?
No, this is before the days of the cricket pavilion, in the raised faculty building. But I found that absolutely fascinating. I was the only one who went for German phonetics, but at least I went to it, and discussed it with Trim, and we observed. I'd just, come back from spending a period in Germany with a German family, so I'd sort of got authentic German, and I knew that the word for son, which is Sohn, and I said it when I learned to say Sohn, and he pointed out to me that actually the German has not only a clear L, which we hear about, but a clear N as well, Sohn. And he's quite right, and when I tried it out the way I learned it, that's what I did, and I was sort of rather impressed at Trim and at myself. Anyhow, phonetics was wonderful.
What state is John Trim in at the moment, John?
I'm sorry?
What state is he in?
Well, he's fine. I gave a talk in Cambridge last year, and he came to it.
Good,
And, I sort of thanked him publicly, and everybody thought that was
But he's
lovely.
had his ups and downs, hasn't he?
Well, he has, but he seems to be doing very nicely. Thank you. Yes, he's okay. Anyhow, I wanted to continue with phonetics, because this was rather fascinating. So Trim told me that you want to go to UCL, go and see my friend Gim. So I came down to UCL. Great problem, of course, to actually find the department.
Some things don't change.
I found it, and Gim interviewed me, and then Fry interviewed me as well, and accepted me for the MA Phonetics, which in those days was a 2-year course, much more serious than nowadays. And Sorry?
Fewer jokes.
Fewer jokes. Connor was always very good at jokes. Connor, yes, he's one of the lecturers. very, very, very nice and relaxed. Of course, Kim was a very, hail fellow, well met.
Totally, yeah.
Yes, absolutely, yes. No, not too serious chaps. They did warn me though, if you go to SOAS, don't take the things they say there too seriously. They have some very old ideas.
And so forth and so forth.
Yes, I mean this is very mild because of course there'd been this enormous schism between UCL and SOAS. Jones had been betrayed by Firth, who had gone and stolen half his staff and moved to SOAS. So, I and my fellow postgraduates, we decided we wouldn't take too much notice of this schism. We were going to go and get what knowledge we could, wherever it was available. And so we went to SOAS and learned various interesting things there. Okay, this was a 2-year course, so it rather went on and on. And I was told by Professor Fry, Dennis Fry, my supervisor, that if you want to be a serious phonetician, you've really got to get to grips with laboratory phonetics, experimental phonetics.
John, what was the difference between the MA and the postgraduate diploma at that time?
I think the MA was superior.
They were both 2-year courses,
You
weren't they?
thought that, but what did everybody else think?
Well, I think the point was the MA demanded a dissertation,
Yeah.
which diploma.
Yeah.
And a swimsuit heat.
Evening dress.
Anyhow, Fry told me we've got to get to grips with it. I found it terribly difficult, because I came from an arts background and I wasn't used to thinking in these sort of physics and so on terms, but I did my best. And it was really Adrian Forsyth who came to my, rescue, his return here. But anyhow, he took me in hand and Jolliver made sure that I did understand things one after another, and then managed to borrow from JSRU, the Joint Speech Research Unit of the Post Office, a very advanced spectrograph. Advanced for those days anyhow, state of the art, on which I made some spectrograms of English vowels, and I sort of did all this and managed to do a dissertation on this experimental basis. And I have to say that ever since then I haven't been in the laboratory. At least I
Which is laughably still being quoted, isn't it?
Well, there we are, you see, yes. Anyhow.
It's in Wolfson House.
It's in Wilson House, yes. It's on the web, I mean, it's, you can read it if you really want to. Yeah. And of course, during that period, I benefited not only from the teaching of Fry and Gibson, but also O'Connor very much. All of them taught me, which is a
Gordon,
good
I
thing.
suppose, yeah.
Well, I didn't actually get taught by Gordon. I knew him as a colleague later, but those are the ones who taught me. And Halliday was the other person who was around then. Anyhow, then when I finished I was looking around for whatever can I do next year, where can I get some money from? And Fry had a little word with me and said, don't worry about your salary for next year. So, okay. And then in due course, UCL offered me this post of assistant lecturer, which no longer exists. So I said yes. And that was very nice. But there was one hurdle still to get over. In those days, we had something called the Assembly of Faculties, where everybody would meet together in the front quad, and various eminent former people from UCL and so on would be there. Well, the eminent former person was Daniel Jones, Professor Daniel Jones, Professor Emeritus of Phonetics, the founder of the department, who'd retired.
A laying on of hands was necessary.
That's what had to happen next, you see, because Daniel Jones made it very clear that he needed to, how can I put it, vet me to make sure that I was an appropriate person to enter his department that he founded. So he lived in Gerrard's Cross, somewhere out.
Cross, if you don't mind.
All right, Gerrard's Cross in those days. And so I got the train from Marylebone out to Gerrard's Cross one day at his invitation and went to visit him. Some of you will have read this already, but anyhow, let me tell you what happened. He was by then a little old man, shriveled and shrunk. And he was in this room surrounded with electric fires on the wall, clearly very old. And the thing people always said about Daniel Jones is he had no small talk. He couldn't make light conversation. So anyhow, I turned up, his wife let me in, took me ushered me into the room where Daniel Jones was. He said, "Oh, hello, Wells, good of you to come."
No.
So, come and sit down, would you? So I came and sat down. He said, "Now, read to me from this, would you?" And this was a phonetic transcription of Hindi. So I had to launch into reading this Hindi. And of course, fortunately, I had learned how to... Oh, no. I had learned how to control aspiration. I had learned how to say lurka with a retroflex flap. I learned how to say nahin with a nasalized e, and all these various things because O'Connor and Gibson and so on, and indeed Trim had taught me well. So I sort of went through this text, and Daniel Jones was evidently satisfied because after me he said, right, and we proceeded to discuss English pronouncing diction and other burning topics of the day. That was fine. Anyhow, I always look back on that kind of baptism of fire that I had to prove myself before the founder of the department.
Laying on of hands.
Laying on, it's an apostolic succession, isn't it? And now, of course, we do it in a quite different way, don't we?
Just bribes now.
Now we just have examinations. People come and sit the undergraduate examination or the MA Phonetics examination.
Where is this story available to read?
Well,
On the web.
it's on my website, yes.
Have you been sitting
Yeah.
examination in order to get a job?
No, but we always like people to have got some kind of qualification before we do.
So that O-level was no good.
You can read this story on my website
Well,
where it says personal history, my own topic.
Indeed.
The Philological Society, you see, about a year ago, invited various of us who've been sort of active in
Very
linguistics.
nice
in Britain.
volume. Very
Thank you,
enjoyable.
yes, to write a personal history of 6,000 words, and they've published, 25 of these together in a volume now. And since I'd written mine, I thought...
30 years ago it would have been considered scandalous, but
So it tells you all my sexual history and everything. So it's there on the it's there on the web. If you wish to know more, you
Some
can
rather
read
more
it.
information.
I don't know.
It's got pictures of me as a child as well, which are not in the printed volume.
Oh,
because the printed
no.
volume is rather
Where's
short.
oh well.
On the website.
Oh,
It's one of the link sites. You missed it, actually.
Anyhow,
Oh, don't start me off.
no, to get back to seriousness, I mean, nowadays we do this by the undergraduate examination or indeed by the MA Phonetics examination. And I think, Jane will correct me if necessary, but I think our MA Phonetics examination is the hardest test of actual ability in producing and recognising sounds of
I
the
think
IPA.
did your MA test.
No, but you might have views that suggest that in Reading it's more stiff. I don't know. No, okay. The UCL one is absolutely the most difficult
I should think it
test
probably
to
is,
pass.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly, when we designed the transcription passage that they have to transcribe, we put in all the difficulties we could possibly think of into that passage because this is the highest examination in English phonetics going.
That's what I'm getting an MA.
There are all these interconnections, you see, sort of hidden in this course. And it's a wonderful thing. Anyhow, it's very nice to welcome you all again.